Howdy, my name is Ryan. You may have found yourself in this situation where you need a host for your website. Well, my goal is to convince you that you need SiteGround as your host. So just a little bit about myself and my story, why I would make a video about a web host. So first of all, over the years, I've hosted a lot of websites, at least 20. Right now, I have my photography website. I sell hickory nuts, which if you've never had a hickory nut, it's hickorynuts.net. They're incredible. I have a locksmithing service where I do vehicle lockouts. I recently had a workshop that I stood up a one-page WordPress site. My wife sells some prints on tinyviolets.com, some other websites. But again, I've had like at least 20 in my life. And throughout the years, I've hosted with like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe different hosts. Definitely all the big players out there. And I'm so impressed by SiteGround, even after 3 years, that I'm making a video about it. So I'm not trying to knock the other players, but SiteGround just kicks ass. So I hired a friend to do some SEO work, and she recommended going from my other host to SiteGround with the GoGeek plan. And that's what I did with my photography site. And it didn't even take me a month or two to migrate all of my sites over to SiteGround and just ditch the other hosts because they're so much better. So I just wanted to, before we even get into it, what I'd like to do is walk down the comparison chart of all the different plans, talk about the features and my experience with those features. And but before I get into that, I just want to sum it up by saying, I think really two things. Well, the one thing I think that really sums it up is SiteGround's professionalism. So a lot of hosts kind of feel like maybe like they're run out of someone's garage, or they just don't have that professional, polished feel. Like SiteGround feels like a real business. They're not fly by night. They're solid. They're always trying to improve. So when you deal with them and their support, they're just so professional. And they have, in my opinion, they're incredible value for the price. What you get, I'll walk through that. What you get with it is well worth the money. And lastly, I guess this goes tied into the professionalism. The other main reason that I stick with SiteGround is their support. You don't know you're blind until you can see, and just trust me, their support. You don't know that you have bad support until you've had really good support. And something like my website, all my websites, my businesses, I need them to work. And SiteGround has come and basically saved my ass. Their support has saved my ass multiple times. So they're professional. They're incredibly fast. Their support is thorough and fast. And whatever the third thing I said was, just a great value. So I'm going to share my screen and walk down the comparison chart. I've got a few screens I just kind of want to share with you real quick. Okay, so here's SiteGround's homepage. So so they've got the 3 plans. They've got the startup, the grow big, and the GoGeek. The startup is really good. Like it says here, you got one website, not too many files, not too many visitors. The grow big, That allows you to host multiple websites on one account, get more files and more visits. The GoGeek, really what you're getting there is some real technical, well, not technical. First of all, you get priority support. You get semi-dedicated server space, which you can look that up, but you're not fully dedicated, but there's fewer people on your server for GoGeek. So if speed is important to you, I would go GoGeek. I did. So let me just show you. I'm not going to cover any of that. In fact, I am going to go. Oh, bear with me. I just had this open. Okay. So, all right, here's the 3 plans. Depending on where you come in, to me, I would either go startup if you're just, I mean, it's like your first website, it's your only website. You're trying to figure out whether you kind of test the waters. I would go startup, but otherwise I would jump straight to GoGeek, especially for that speed, if speed is of the essence. But all right, so let's cover it. Okay. I'm going to skip some, but these to me are the main features that I use. So free CMS install, that's across the board. Basically one click of a button, type in a few fields, and you got yourself WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, whatever. Most email accounts, pretty standard these days. Querying the SQL, querying your database using MySQL, pretty standard. Unlimited domains, I've got probably 20 in my account now. cPanel is pretty standard. One thing I do want to mention about the SiteGround cPanel, it seems to me that you actually get more features with SiteGround cPanel than other accounts. There's just like, you can change your PHP versioning, you can mess around with your DNS, and like there's just all these little apps in there. Soft Delicious I've never used, but so 30-day money back, nothing to lose. You won't be giving your money back, trust me. So there's different servers. I use one in Chicago. I think you can change your server. SSD storage, it's crazy to me that in 2018 there are still hosts that don't have SSD hard drives. That means solid state drive. It means that there's no moving parts inside the hard drive that holds your website. So it's just faster. It's not as hot. It's smoother. The life is longer on the drives. There's less fail. They're just, you can see here 1,000-time increase. I think it's amazing that comes standard. So I've never used this server setup. Not sure what that is. I don't think. CDN, the Cloudflare. What that does is it hosts your pictures sort of on another server that loads faster. It like preloads them. I'm not sure I fully understand, but it caches it and then loads it. And I had an issue with my photography site loading slowly. I think it was my theme or a plugin or something, but so I mess around a lot with the CDN. It's pretty great that just comes built in. You can apply it to all your sites and it's fast. Super cacher, there's 3 levels of caching. You got your static, dynamic, and I think the Google database query or something. I have all 3 of those turned on. They do help speed up your site pretty significantly. So the spam and hacks, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but it is your site is isolated from other people on your server. They're isolated from you, so if they get hacked, it's harder for those files to spill out over into your files. Speaking of getting hacked, my website was hacked. It had all kinds of malware earlier this year. There's a scan that they run, and if they find enough files, they'll actually turn your site off until you get it cleaned up. And it took me a couple days. I lost a few days. It was a pain in the ass. but I finally did it. And in the long run, I actually appreciated them for protecting their other customers, protecting me, forcing me to have a clean site. And I did learn a lot about how to keep your WordPress sites a little more secure. So free backup is pretty cool. You get free backups on all of them, but with the startup, you have to pay for your restore. And the other thing is you get free backups on demand. So if you made a lot of changes or you're about to make a lot of changes, you can tell it to save anytime. I'm going to reiterate, their support here is incredible. I mean, I just want to show you this. This is some of their stats here on support. So they say there's no wait time on the phone. They actually conducted experiments where they contacted other hosts. This is SiteGround's site. They contacted other hosts, and you can see an average resolution time of 5 minutes in the chat. That's pretty close to true because, first of all, they know what the hell they're doing. Second of all, they have so much documentation already prepared that they just they can just point you in the right direction so fast. And same with the tickets. I usually have a reply to the ticket within minutes, and it's usually resolved on the first try. There's 31-minute average resolve time. I'd say that's true. I pay for the GoGeek, so you can see here I'm paying for resolving my issues with priority. I would recommend it. I don't know what it's like if you don't have GoGeek, but I would imagine they're still incredible. I think this just GoGeek, I assume, puts you at the top of the queue. I'm not sure. But, you do get one free site transfer. So when I jump ship the first time for my photography site, I took that as a chance to start fresh with a new theme and new website. But then when I migrated the rest, I think it's $15 a pop. And I did 5 or 6, but I got one of those for free. And it was worth paying the money to have them bring those files over. It was peace of mind. It was done. And I recommend it. E-commerce, every site can have SSL, let's encrypt. So you can actually put that HTTPS for secure and get that little green lock that's so important, especially on e-commerce. And SiteGround has it for free, and I have that turned on. PCI, I've never actually heard of that, but I have a couple e-commerce sites, so I'm really happy to hear that that it's up to the security standard of the payment card industry. So there's multiple PHP versions. You can turn that on. This is all some nerdy stuff that most people won't need. I will say FTP, that's pretty standard. You can FTP in. Staging, it's pretty cool. So I used it early on for my first site, but I don't make many dramatic changes. So what it does is it makes a copy of your site. And then when you're editing your account or your website, it loads based off of your copy, your staging area, while your live site just stays live and nothing happens. So whenever you're ready, you can just hit a button and take everything from your staging over to your live. Pretty cool. I recommend if you make a lot of changes or you don't want to break your website, you can stage it first and test it. So I'm actually going to log out here. Actually, I'm going to make another pitch real quick. I'm going to show you some of these stats. So I showed you the speed support here. Security, I did want to mention, I guess, there was this WordPress type touch malware. SiteGround's patched that. They've got this thing called account isolation. I think I talked about it. So that's where your files are sort of quarantined off from the other people on your server. Pretty cool feature. So your speed, you can look at this. they took the same site and put it through a bunch of different hosts. SiteGround had look how fast that is, 1.3 with cache, and they can handle tons of traffic. Like, look at this, through the roof as far as how much traffic they can handle. So I'm going to sign out of here and quickly show you how to sign up. So here's make your choice. At $12 a month, you can't beat that. I just recommend GoGeek. If you know you need a good website and you have anywhere more than one website, or you want speed and you want support, I would just go freaking geek, man. Just do it. So I'm going to register a new domain. I'm just going to call this Ryan KDOS. If you have a domain, you can do the necessary steps to pull that over from your other host. But in this case, I'm going to go for a new one, register for $16 a year. It's my nickname, Ryan KDOS. All right, so you just fill out all your info. That's pretty self-explanatory. A couple of things I want to show you here. So where it says period 12 months, kind of the default. But you can do 3 years at $12. I wish I had this offer. I don't have that offer because I'm already a customer. But it's pretty unique that they allow you to do more than 1 year at the discounted introductory price. I think usually they allow you to do like 1 year or something. But if it was me, I would take advantage of all 3 years and just do it and get it out of the way. I wouldn't have to think about it for a couple of years, because you're not going to get this kind of amazing value really anywhere else. So quickly, I did want to talk about domain privacy. Technically, your info is public. As the domain provider, I recommend just setting up, what I did was I set up a Google Voice number, and you can put a plus sign on your email address. And then, so you could do like Joe Schmo plus domains at Gmail. And then you can create a filter and have all of the spam mail that was created by your domains go into a separate folder. Because I have like 20 URLs and I can't pay for domain privacy for all of them. But if you can, or if you only have one, I would recommend it, because otherwise it will hide your info from spammers. And I get so much spam, and I know it's because of the fact that my info is public. They just have bots that go down and scrape all that information and then just auto call you and email you, whatever. Okay, so Site Scanner, I do recommend you pay for that. I believe that's one time across your whole hosting, but it will scan your site for malware, and I was whacked pretty bad earlier this year. So basically, you just hit pay now, and you're off and running. So I personally know that websites are incredibly important. I have never done a review like this in my life, but I just really believe in SiteGround, and so much so that I'm actually making a video. If you need hosting, just go down to the bottom in the description and click the link, sign up for SiteGround. And a year from now, when your site is humming along and faster than ever, and you've chatted with the people over there at SiteGround, you will say, Ryan was right. He knows what he's talking about. They are the best hosting company. I mean, WordPress promotes them as one of their official promoted hosts. You just can't go wrong. So sign up, tell them I sent you, and happy hosting.